Blue Beetle is directed by Angel Manuel Soto. It stars Jolo Maridueña. I believe that's how you pronounce his name, and George Lopez. And it is the latest film in the DCEU, or is it the first film in James Gunn's DCU? Let me actually address that first. So, I will say, no spoilers here, but there is nothing in this movie that pigeonholes it into the DCEU, and James Gunn has said a bunch of weird stuff. Like, he said that Blue Beetle is the first character of the DCU, but Superman Legacy is the first DCU movie. I don't know what that means, but I will say that you very easily could just take this Blue Beetle movie and just say that it's in the DCU, because there's nothing in here that connects it heavily to the DCEU. But either way, none of that should really matter, because you should just go watch it because it's a good movie. To start off with, the best part of the movie is the family, surprisingly enough. It was kind of the thing that worried me the most in the trailers, because you have like these scenes that feel they just look really cheesy. Like, you have like George Lopez driving the Beetle the Beetle ship. You have the abuela holding up the Gatling gun. And are those moments still cheesy in the movie? For sure, but they work in the context. Even the abuela holding the Gatling gun, like, they provide broader context to where I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'll give it to you, movie. And they also like heavily lean into the abuela being kind of a badass. So it ends up working, in my opinion. The family stuff, it brings a lot of heart and emotionality. Their dynamic together is just very endearing, and it is the heart and soul of the movie. Jolo in the lead, he's fantastic. I really love him in Cobra Kai. And he's an actor that I've kind of been rooting for. I'm like, I want this man to blow up. I want him to be the Mexican Tom Holland. like oversaturate me with Jolo, not not Tom Holland, please. Please, Tom Holland, leave me alone, I beg of you. The action is phenomenal. I was not expecting this movie to go as hard as it does in the action. All the different machinations of Blue Beetle's powers, like, he's able to like make guns and shields, and he like blasts stuff, and even just the fight choreography is dope. Really great stuff there. As far as the negatives, I will say the villains are not particularly good. They do feel like MCU Phase 1 villains, where, you have your trope of, oh, the bad guy that the hero is fighting is just a bad version of himself. And when it starts happening, I'm like, really? Are we really doing this again? I don't know how a director or a screenwriter writing a comic book movie today doesn't realize that they probably shouldn't do that. Evil corporate CEO lady that's not particularly strong. They just feel a little one-dimensional. They don't do a ton to like make them feel like complex in any way. And it's not even like the High Evolutionary from Guardians 3, where that guy was so evil and that actor was so committed to just really hamming it up in his performance. It's not even like that, where that's good in its own way. They just feel generic, the villains do. But in my opinion, the positives far outweigh the negatives. The family is more than enough to carry the movie. Jolo as Jaime Reyes is more than enough to carry the movie. I also didn't mind the love interest in this movie. I don't think that they're like phenomenal. They're no Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, but they're better than Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst or Henry Cavill and Amy Adams. I thought they were fine. I think they had good enough chemistry. The movie also takes a lot of inspiration from a bunch of different comic book media. The family stuff very much feels like Miss Marvel. There's a little bit of Ant-Man thrown in there, where you have the sort of legacy of Blue Beetle. I don't want to spoil too much about that, but you have a little bit of Iron Man in there, where with like the first flight sort of situation. You even have a little, I don't want to spoil too much about this aspect, but you even have a little bit of Sam Raimi Spider-Man in there. in the fights and stuff. I'm like, oh, you know what? I appreciate that. I don't want to spoil what I'm talking about here, but near the end of the movie, there's a thing that happens in one of the fights. I'm like, yeah, we need more of that. But I don't want to spoil what that is. We have been starving when it comes to DCEU content lately. You know, whether it be like Black Adam and Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and The Flash. It's been rough. It's been rough out here, you know what I mean? Even though this isn't technically DCEU, it does feel just refreshing to finally get like a good DC movie that isn't, obviously Matt Reeves the Batman. And this movie isn't nearly as good as Matt Reeves the Batman, but it is a step up from mainline DC content. I highly recommend it. Go check it out. If you already have watched it, let me know what you think about it in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye. Leave me alone, Tom Holland. Stop it. He's in my visions. He's in my dreams. Oh God, I think he's in the house with me.